on the flip side, if you're someone who has a job, so I get a lot of people who say that, hey, I have a job and I want to detail, and I say, okay, let's first figure out if this is a viable option for you.
Cool. Going on from that then, what's the best car you've ever detailed?
Loaded question.
It can be
I think the best in terms of value.
Not necessarily value, but the best car you think you've ever detailed.
Excuse me.
You all right there, buddy?
I'm fine.
All right, good.
Let's go.
Jeep Wrangler might be your best.
That might be. He's making me sweat right now. You're right. You breathing okay? We need to call somebody.
I'm fine.
All right, good. I would say the best one, meaning in terms of the quality of the work, I would say the McLaren Longtail, the one I did at Pebble Beach. That was a lot of work. That was a lot of stress. For other reasons than like the car was stressful. The car was stressful, but there was like stuff that we couldn't show behind the camera.
Yeah.
So we ended up we got there. We were working in this guy's helicopter house. I guess I don't even know what it's called. Place for his helicopters.
Yeah, a hangar.
I mean, I don't even know what you call it, but I was like, oh, okay. And like the ceiling opened. It was amazing. And he had this amazing, ridiculous, like really expensive collection of Ferraris and stuff and Alfa Romeos, and it was just a privilege. But we couldn't. So like if the camera right now is facing me, like right here was like a Ferrari. Like we could not move, so we had to put tape on the ground and keep the camera like this, because if I went like that, we would see the row of all these cars, and the guy was not having any of it. It was weird because we had okayed all this stuff. It was like, it's a long story, but we got so much permission beforehand, and then the day of, he's a little, it's your guys. His name is Sir XYZ. Like he's now, I guess, whatever that is, Sir whatever,
yeah. Right?
And I was like, Sir, whatever. We're Americans. I don't know what that means. So Sir, and he came in. He's a very short man, and just looked around and was like, nope, we're not doing this. I'm like, we just flew across the country, and so we had to negotiate with him, and we showed him that we put little X's on the ground where the camera would be, and like, so if you see in that video, there's not many shots of it wide, because there's a billion cars all the way around and helicopters everywhere. So I would say that was the most fun, because when we were done, I was like, whoa, like nothing is going to be that hard to disassemble a $13 million car on the spot and then reassemble it like hours before an event and then have it win. I mean, come on. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine anything more exciting than that, but maybe there's something. So I would say that was my favorite one.
I'm going to throw, sorry, Bill, to interrupt. I'm going to throw one more similar kind of question then. I think I know the answer. What's the strangest strangest vehicle other than a car that you've detailed?
Definitely the Freedom One, the airplane.
Yep.
That thing was crazy, and I take like zero credit for that. I was there to film, and I did some polishing and stuff as well. But the guys who worked on that were amazing. There was a lot of Joe Fernandez and all. Just you probably saw the video.
Definitely, yeah.
Tremendous, ridiculous, over the top amount of work because of the sheer square footage. But as I was filming and talking to the curator of the museum and understanding the history, this is before my time, so I didn't understand the hostage situation and how because I talked to my mom and my dad, and they're like, oh my gosh, like that's like a figure of our memory that was very tangible for American. And I wasn't even born or whatever yet. But so it was cool to see the history. And then when they started to see that we were so passionate about restoring and preserving this piece of American history, they actually let us into the airplane. Nobody knows this. So they let us into the airplane, and I had to get permission from all these generals and colonels and all these, I had to go through all this ranking to be able to film. And so we got this permission, and then we got extra permission to go inside the plane. It was never in the video. If you ever watched the video, it was never in the video.
Yeah.
Because we went in, we filmed, and we saw no one had ever sat in this seat. I don't know if you've ever seen the Lincoln Memorial or the Lincoln whatever, where you got they put it in this glass kind of thing, so nobody would ever sit in it again or whatever. same kind of concept there. It was like very like, yeah, that's the pencil, or I'm making this up, or the, you know, the coffee mug or whatever that the guy used when he, and we just left everything the way that it was. I was like, oh my God, like it was such a privilege to be in there. And then at the last minute, whoever was in charge yanked it from the video, which I totally, completely understand. I couldn't even believe they let us in. But so I would say that was probably the most meaningful, where I was like, whoa, this is like way bigger than just detailing, because I was on the wrong computer downstairs. I have all these, it's too bad, I have all these coins that are related to that particular vehicle, meaning plane. So after the video aired, it didn't really do that well in terms of video. It's got a couple 100,000 views or something, which, you know, it's not super big. But I got the most fan mail from people who were either in the Air Force and one of the gentlemen who was the pilot of that plane. And so he sent me this whole letter and then sent me these coins. And apparently these coins, I mean, it's like you can feel, it's like a really heavy coin. And it's got the insignia. It's hysterical. If we really want to see it, it's right downstairs underneath on the next floor. Because I leave it on my desk underneath the computer as a memory or whatever. But apparently that's a very big deal to a service person to give that out. So anyways, I would say that one was the most, every time I look back on it, it's just a beautiful film and is so much more of a story than what I could show.
Yeah.
I showed the detailing and did as much as I could of the hostage situation, but there was a lot, just know there was a lot more going on behind the scenes that I just couldn't show. So that was a meaningful one.
Cool. So what I'll do, anyone who's not seen that, then I'll put a link up here to that video, and give that a check after this. There's about 30 of you, I think, doing that. Was it in Arizona or New Mexico? It was in the desert, wasn't it? So it was
in the desert.
It didn't look enjoyable Arizona. Doing that.
Yeah, it was super hot, which was weird. It was really cold in the morning and then super hot in the afternoon. So I think it was Arizona desert. And we have this beautiful like montage of the sun going up. I mean, the film, I didn't shoot that film. I had somebody else come in because we had such limited time and so much work to do. So I had a lot of help with that. My buddy Ryan shot that one, but just a wonderful, wonderful film for sure. Cool. Thank you for asking that. These are things I totally hadn't brought these up forever. Thank you.
Detailing aside, what car would you have if you could have any car?
Okay, so now you've caused a problem. So my off the cuff quick answer would be a GT3. I like the GT3 because I like to go to the track. I like to drive every single day. Porsche, you can drive it every day. I like the aggressive feel. I like to have a stiff suspension. I like the way that car feels like it was made for me. Like Larry's GT3 or something, you know, how it was designed for someone with my personality, right? Now, because I don't want to say I'm getting older, but my priorities are changing because I have someone that, you know, I would literally die for, my child, right? So I would rather do stuff with him than drive right now at that age. Maybe when he's older and like, Dad, you know, whatever, then I can go back to that. But I like things where I can bring my family along too. So, you know, maybe the Taycan or something cool. I don't know, something that's like a 4-door rocket ship. Like right now, I was going to show you, I have right now downstairs. You guys get to have this. This is so funny that we're talking about this. The RS6 Avant.
I was just going to,
yes,
say
that's
that.
downstairs. That's like a big, massive, ginormous deal for Americans. I drove it around the block just to do like a little in-car thing, and I couldn't go. It was like I was driving like a purple Lamborghini with like 2 ladies on top or something. It was like everywhere I was going, people were like, oh, yeah. They're like freaking out. And you guys had that forever. So in the United States, it's a massive deal. So anyways, that would be like one of those like unicorn type cars. You can throw the family in the back, and then you have basically 600 horsepower, and you can carry, you know, like I put 4 spare tires in the car to bring it up here. He drove it from Delaware for us to detail it, clear bra. I put Reflex Pro on there. We got window tints yesterday. I'm letting all the tints and everything kind of dry out, and then tomorrow I'm going to deliver it to the guy. No, Thursday I'm going to deliver it to the guy. So there's my answer to your very. I could talk for 4 hours on that. That's all I do. I go like this on eBay, and I'm like, ooh. I saw a Corvette Corvair. You ever seen a Corvair before? It was in one of this amazing Netflix shows, The Queen's Gambit. If you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. It's an amazing episode or series on Netflix. But there's amazing cars in that series, and one of them was a Corvair, and I was like, I have to have that car. It's great. And I looked up on eBay. They run from like $10,000 to like $25,000, which is very reasonable for a car that you're like, oh, that thing is amazing. So go to the next question. Otherwise, I'll just keep going with.
Yeah, over the questions from the guys from like the forum and Instagram and stuff.
Sure.
One last thing is one piece of advice for someone that's going to start out in detailing.
Sorry, I got to drink a lot. It's like 500 degrees up in here. If I turn that thing on, you'll never hear me. Yeah, so if you're going to start out in detailing, there's so much to talk about, but I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I think is really understanding where you're starting from. Meaning, if you're 18 years old and you're starting and you're living in your parents' house, that's amazing. Like, start there because your expenses are low. Mom and dad are helping and all that kind of thing. And I want to be clear, that's not like a dig. I'm saying that's an advantage. Like, stay home. Stay home as long as you possibly can. If you're 40 years old, that's a different story. But stay home as long as you possibly can. So on the flip side, if you're someone who has a job, so I get a lot of people who say that, hey, I have a job and I want to detail. And I say, okay, let's first figure out if this is a viable option for you. Because immediately people, when they ask me that question, they want me to give them like, you should get the Rupes polisher and you should set up this account and you should do that. And I go like, whoa, we got to like back up like 1,000 steps and make sure this is even right. Yeah. I got to tell you right off the bat, like I don't have to tell you guys, but like this is a physical job. Mm-hmm. Like one knee is gone and the other one's about to go. The back hurts. I'm a super tall guy, so it's a little weird. I got to bend down. That's why I have to lift downstairs. But it's a very physical job, and the knuckles and your fingers get busted up, and the whole. You know what I mean? So sometimes I think the allure or the sex of detailing cars outweighs a lot of logic. So I try to have conversations with that. I'm never deterring somebody. I'm just like, hey, it's like getting a puppy. You know what I mean? Like, that's a decision, but you can't be like, never mind, I don't want that now, or a kid or something. You know what I mean? So it's a big decision. So the big piece of advice I can give people is the hard piece of advice is make sure you have at least 6 months of savings. Meaning, I don't think you're going to make any money, and I'm being conservative, and I think that's a good thing here. You're not going to make any money for the first 6 months. Mm-hmm. It's all going to be sucked away from insurance, and I got to have this new tool, and I got to have this latest toy, and all that kind of stuff. So 6 months of savings. Number 2, word of mouth, ginormous. I think it's the biggest thing, word of mouth versus, hey, I want to go spend $1,000 a month in some magazine or whatever, which I respect and I get that. Mm-hmm. That's 5 steps down the road. Don't even worry about that yet. How do I advertise? I'm like, you have all the friends in the world. You have all the family in the world, that kind of thing. Go there. Number 3, which is a big one for me, is a practice panel. I did a lot of my failures on a practice panel, hence the reason I talked about when they come in for the training. Yeah. You got this whole practice panel. It's got seats in it and everything. Go nuts. Break it all. Because I feel like you really learn with that. And so I think a lot of times the detailers, they want me to, I remember I'm privileged enough to get a lot of phone calls from people in this exact mental state. Hey, should I do it? Should I not do it? What should I do? That kind of thing. And I like to let them know that there's a lot more that goes into it than just, hey, I want to detail for the rest of my life kind of thing. And they want to jump into what's the secret to detailing? Like, the secret to detailing is making 1,000 mistakes. Just don't do it on a car that's really expensive. And they're like, their brain goes like, I don't understand. Like, yeah, make all the mistakes on the practice panel and then you're rock star status. Because when you're detailing a car, I tell people that it's not necessarily, the work is challenging. The solving the problem or the jigsaw puzzle, that's the part that I think is where all the money is made and lost in that first little couple of minutes. And you're kind of going like this with the Rubik's Cube, right? You're like, I don't understand how this paint is moving or working, or why is the residue? And so if you're really good at the Rubik's game, whatever they call it, Rubik's Cube, you know that you can move more things. But if you're in the beginning, you only go like this, as opposed to moving all these pieces. And once I go like this, spin it. You ever see the real good guys? And you're like, boom, you got it. Then it's just replicating that on the rest of the car. Because once I figured out the model, assuming all the panels are pretty much the same and they haven't been repainted, of course, there's asterisks on everything I'm saying. But once you figure out that puzzle, you can put your headphones in and just rock on. And then it's just labor, which we're the knees and the back and all those other things. And that's the part where I think they're enlightened when they go like, oh, I didn't realize. I'm like, yeah, so you have to study that one little part. You got to know where to hit the hammer just in the right spot, and the rest of it will kind of unfold. And that's what I'm trying to do with those videos. So when I brought people along in the drive-alongs or in all the videos that I shoot, was to give them that one nugget and not necessarily be like, step one is to take the car outside and walk. I mean, I do those too, but the ones where I bring people with me, I try to show them which way to flip the Rubik's Cube and not have to like sit there and spin it for 3 days to figure it out. Like how can we shorten what I call hyper learning, that little thing. So I don't know if I went on too much there, but I believe me, I get so many of those questions, and I can't just knock it out of the park and be like, step one, step two, step three.
Yeah.
You're good to go. Smiles. It doesn't. I can't. It doesn't work that way. So hopefully that's more helpful than.
Definitely.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess, Matt, I don't know about you. We'll get on to the questions from Kate, John, and the Instagram and forum in a minute. But just the other thing that the guys were really asking about is this new simulator game that you've come out
Yeah.
with.
So yeah, that was pretty cool. I've been working on that a while with some folks called Game Incubators. I don't even know where to begin with this one, but they've been working on it a long time. And then they said, hey, let's figure out how we can. I think there's a market there. And I was like, I feel like I saw pom-poms. I've been like pom-pom cheering the detailing market. I'm like, listen, this is an underserved market. There is fellow crazy people out there just like me and just like a zillion other people that love to do this. But I said, we have to make sure that it's not seen as like this joke, because I don't want to be a part of anything that's like a joke. Because remember, I say and I'm talking to you guys and I understand other people are watching or whatever, but I gave up a very, lucrative career and all this kind of thing. And it's great. And it's like, wonderful, great me and all that. And it's really not about that. It's like, I took a lot of heat to be able to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I went to the schools and there was a lot of stuff that it's not worth talking about right now, but there was a lot of pressure to be able to be the doctor and the lawyer and all this fancy kind of thing. And I just wasn't into it. And so I wanted to make sure that the video game didn't exploit this, like, forgive this term because I can't think of a better one, but this grease monkey type thing. I wanted people to feel like this is a real, I don't know how it is in the UK, so I can't speak to that, but I know I'm going to speak to what I feel it's like in the United States because that's what I know. I feel like I call this syndrome of throw the keys, where somebody comes in and they walk in their fancy car and they throw the keys to me. That's equivalent to spitting in my face as far as I'm concerned. Like, I chose to do this work and I'm a professional. I am a craftsman at this. I'm just not like, so you get where I'm going with that? I wanted to make sure that the video game showed as much as I could of that, as opposed to like, we're going to clean cars now. Like I was like, I don't want to be involved in that because that's trivializing something that I've not devoted my life to. I want to be like too dramatic, but like something that means a lot to me. And I gave up something that like people are like, are you crazy? Why are you leaving like the best job in the world? I'm like, 'cause I want to freaking clean cars. Like, leave me alone. Like, that's what I want to do. And so the video game is really cool. It's still in like the beta form. I'm not like a video game guy, so I don't know what the real word is, but it's in that form where we got to make sure that it's functioning and doing all the things it needs to do. And then if enough people sign up for it or are interested in it, then the investment comes in to do all, to build all of it. So it should be cool. It should be exciting. And it's all because of the barn finds. The barn find videos are going nuts. Like I was telling you guys off camera, I have this TV show that's featuring one of the aspects of me going to a barn, and there's just a lot of press now because it's exciting. It's taking something old and making it new, and people like to see that. So
well, make sure you let the guys at Detailing World know as soon as the game's ready to go, because I'm sure that there'll be a few guys on there that will certainly invest in playing a game.
And from what I understand, it's going to be free. It's just a free down, there's things in there, my products are in there and all that kind of stuff. But like what happens is you go into, and they have, spiky hair, my kind of guy looking thing. And then like you morph in and then like you're in my eyes. And so then you can just see the hands and you're polishing with the hands. You know what I mean? Like,
brilliant.
I don't know how to do it on the camera, but you would get into my head. It's pretty trick. It's pretty cool. So We'll see where it goes. But I really wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, I didn't want to make it a circus because I don't want to be involved in something like that.
Right, Matt, your questions. You've got a couple that are
I have. So I've got one from one of our patrons here. This, hopefully you know what UK detailing is like, otherwise it's going to be a difficult one to answer. Well, what are the main differences between US detailing and European detailing?
Yeah, this is a great question. I tried to talk to Jason Rose a little bit about this because he certainly knows a whole lot more. From what I understand, the cycle times are a little bit different. How much the time that you guys spend polishing in one pass is different than the US. And then I think, from what I understand, it might be a generalization of all of Europe, but forgive me, I think you guys hold detailers in an esteem that's higher than here in the United States. I don't think anyone's really arguing that, meaning we're like, if I could give an example, like here, somebody who runs a body shop, not really high, but not definitely low, and they know that they make money, and they know that they're like, you got to like play by the rules if you're going to go to a body shop, and it's going to cost you X amount of dollars, that kind of thing. And you're like, nah, I can't fight that. In the United States, it's like, if you go to a detail shop, it's like, well, I don't have time to wash my car, but like, I know to wash my car. I just don't have the time. So like, I'm going to throw the keys at you. You do it. That's why there's a lower value to that perceived. From what I learned and what I understand, you guys can speak to it better than I can. In the UK, I wouldn't say that it's different, but maybe it's at the same level as like a body shop guy, where it's like you're perceived as a craftsman and not as a commodity.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to expand on that question a bit more then. So basically in the States, someone who washes a car is a detailer. In fact, you guys in the States say, I'm going to detail this, and it could be the kitchen sink, I'm going to detail something, and it just means clean. For us, an entry-level detailer is a valeter, or obviously to you guys, that's someone who parks the car, the valet parks the car. For us, valeting is someone who just turns up with a bucket, a sponge, and that's pretty much it, and washes the car. A detailer, like you say, is kind of like the next level up, I guess. So how do you guys differentiate the lower end, those who are just, I don't want to knock them, because a $10 car wash is still a $10.
No, there's a purpose for all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but how do you tell the difference between an entry and someone like yourself, someone who's at the top of the game?
The truth is, you're making a very fair point, and it makes a lot of sense. And I don't know if there's an answer to it right now, because a lot of the questions that I get are not necessarily from detailers, but I get them from people who want their cars cleaned, and the questions that they ask me is, how do I tell one that's good and one that's bad? They're all in this one category. How do I figure that out? And right now it has to do with everything social media, or what are the pictures that they have Ferraris in their shop or whatever. I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, it's helpful, but like that doesn't dictate. Like, I'm not going to go to a doctor because I saw a picture of him like doing surgery on somebody. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, the picture, that doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I need to know, like, word of mouth. Like, did my friend go to surgery for him? Is he like have a history of? So there's certainly an opportunity for that. And with respect to ammo, people are like, hey, I only want to use, it sounds self-serving, but I'm just telling you the truth. I only want to use ammo products, and I want to have a certified ammo guy. And I'm like, that's not something I do. So I don't know how to help you there. So I can, you're making a very fair point where there is a market or a gap in the market, certainly in the United States, where the definition is really causing some issues, because it's just like we threw a huge blanket over everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, there's 50 things within that blanket, and you guys are at least smart enough over there to, I didn't even know that now, valeting versus detailing. Yeah. There's a difference between the two. That's news to me, and makes a whole lot of sense, which is probably why I feel like I'd be more like a fish in water, or whatever they call it, over in the UK than I am sort of in the United States. It's this constant battle of, and it might be psychological, and I think at this point I've been doing it so long that it's fine, and I've made peace with it. But for the first 5 years, it was super depressing, because like, you're not on Wall Street anymore. What do? Like, you clean cars? Like, it's very. Maybe it's psychological. Maybe it's me. I don't know, but I definitely have that feeling. So I think you guys are on the right path for sure.
We've got another question from one of our Patreon guys, and that is basically, is anything in the pipeline for AMMO NYC to sell the products over here in the UK then?
You hit my soft spot there. So I'll try to make this as short as possible. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. The answer is, I want people who want ammo to get ammo. Right now, the only place in the entire world to get ammo is through the website.
Yeah.
And I do that for multiple reasons. And one of the main reasons is I want to make sure that the brand stays intact, that the people who are using it see, okay, fine, it's $1 more here or $2 more here or whatever they can, whatever. But they see that there's like almost not figuratively, like my blood in this product and like what I've done for it. And some people are like, hey, I don't really care. I want the cheapest stuff. And I'm like, great, I totally get that. Then you should buy the cheapest stuff. This isn't. And so I want to make sure I keep the sanctity of the products. And you're like, oh, what the heck does that have to do with European distribution? What happens is it becomes a challenge sometimes when you just distribute products, that it becomes more watered down and someone is not able to sort of pound their chest and say like, here's why I think this is the best. Here's why I want to stand behind it. If there's something wrong, like we'll fix it or whatever. And it gets me really nervous. Now, that's probably a weakness of a CEO, which is me. That's probably it's probably something I need to work on, but I'm challenged. I'm trying very hard to do it. And the crazy part is I have almost 700 distribution requests for ammo like this overnight, could be whatever. And they're like, I don't understand why. And I was like, I'm trying to get over this hurdle to make sure that the thing that I built, the baby, the blah, 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 doesn't get damaged because I want to try to like make more money. Right? And is it even more money? Like, is it more money or not? It's probably not. Like, they're not going to do it for free. So there's all these things that go into factoring into this. But the short answer is, I am very close to figuring out how to do that within my boundaries of what make me comfortable. Because I could just sell tomorrow. We all know that.
Yeah.
Like, it's been around for 10 years. Like tomorrow, I could sell. And it could be on every single. And I don't mean that like as a tough guy. I mean as a literal fact that people call at least once or twice a week, and I have a list of 700 distribution requests where I can say, okay, fine, because they ping me like once a month, like, are we changed? Oh, we changed. I said, I'll reach out to you. So I could do that, but I'm very close to doing it in a way that makes me feel comfortable that someone from the UK can be like, okay, I got Larry's product, but I know it's his product. Because right now there's a lot of black market stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people pretending to be ammo. I spend half of my days just doing intellectual property and squashing people. In particular, there's one in the UK that just refuses. It's like, nope, I want to use it. I'm like, so now I have to go through the whole legal battle of saying there's an ammo detailing something in the UK, whatever it is. I'm not trying to start another fight, but it's a lot of that I have to manage. And I think people, when they see, or they're hopefully watching this and they go like, well, now hopefully they understand a little bit more why I just didn't go, let's just do distribution worldwide. There's so many intricacies that sometimes it's not worth it, but I'm very, very close. So that's an extremely long answer. I'm working really hard to figure that out.
Cool. And obviously we've got a ton of questions, so I'm just going to pick some of them.
I'll try to make them quicker, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm not going to ask you all of them. I'm just going to go through some of the more interesting ones. So one of the guys over on the forums, when this pandemic is over, COVID, have you got any plans to come to the UK and maybe to Waxstock, which is the big detailing event that we have over here in the UK?
Oh yeah, look at that. I'm just blinded by those muscles too. I couldn't even yeah, absolutely. I totally would be down. This sounds like super dorky, but like I wouldn't even know where to go or who to see or where to stay. I'd have to just like hook up with somebody to
fly to Heathrow and Bill will pick you up.
All right. If it's as easy as that, then I've definitely been. I've been to Heathrow many times, but from there I'm like, hello, like where do I go? So yeah, no, I'm definitely. If this distribution type thing works out in my favor, then yeah, I honestly, if you ask me what I want to do, I want to shoot videos and I want to innovate products. And right now, my day is spent like responding to emails of where's my tracking information and all this other stuff. But that's part of the, like, if you're not going to have, like, listen, there's nobody here. Like, this is, the whole building it's literally just me. Yeah. Which is great. And it's also why you can see right here, I'm aging very fast because it's a lot of paperwork and things. So my mission in life is to be able to shoot a lot of videos and inspire and educate and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'd like to travel. So yeah, I'm totally down. I would love to come. We did, remember, you guys go to SEMA?
Yeah, been SEMA.
Yeah, so we had no SEMA this year for very obvious reasons. So that was actually, I would have probably just landed this week, home.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's right around now. So that's kind of a bummer. I do feed off of the interaction of people and like you get ideas and you're looking at stuff and you're like, oh, this is a cool product. Like I wonder what, that kind of thing. It kind of gets you all jazzed up. So totally there. Gas up the jet. Landed right here on there. I'll hop right on.
Cool. We've got another question. What is the inspiration or the meaning behind the branding Ammo NYC, and also for me, behind the names of some of the products? So some of them, me and Bill was talking about this earlier. So you got Mud, Shag, Froth or Frothy, is it?
Frothy, yeah.
Just some quite funny and cool names in there. So just where's the inspiration come from for those names?
No, that's a great question. So the first answer is pretty simple. I mean, Ammo is about as American as you can get, right? NYC is self-explanatory. That's where I started. But ultimately, the way it was founded was one of my bigger clients has literally hundreds of cars, super famous guy. When I would detail a car, one car in particular, what I would do is I kind of build this like moat around the car because I want everything to be accessible. There's something about I'm a giraffe, so I'm super tall. The bending down and getting up and bending down and getting up and bending down and getting up. And like after a while, like my knees just like give out. So I wanted everything close. Why does that matter? He came out one day and he goes like, well, that's a lot of ammo. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, wow, that's a cool name. And then I just kept it, and I kept it in my back pocket for years. And then when I was doing the manufacturing and consulting, I was making products for somebody else for years.
Yeah.
And these big jugs and the whole thing. And then I said, man, if I ever come out with my own product line, because they wanted to stay commercial, not retail. I said, I'm going to come out with a retail line called Ammo, and it's going to be just what I want, the ammo that I need to detail the car. So that's that question. In terms of the products themselves, so I'm a little bit more like artsy-fartsy and dorky than most people probably realize. So I like to come up with names that like move me in a certain way. So for instance, like my foam soap, not very creative name, but in this case, the color and the smell. So when, if you're married or girlfriend or whatever, but like when your significant other gets out of the shower as a man and, I like the smell of my wife's or woman's hair when she gets out of the shower. Like, that's just intoxicating. It's amazing. Why would we not make something that smells, I'm not trying to be silly or you're sexy or whatever. It's definitely a stimulant, right? It's like, oh my gosh, this is like amazing. And so things like that, where I'll just be like, oh, this is great. Like Reflex I wanted it to be reflective and flexible. That's the chemistry that we were working on. So not super creative name, but we combined them into two. Things like Mud. You remember the story I just told you? This is so funny you asked me that. The story about the mud when I was making the thing, it was because I kept messing up. The bottom of the 55-gallon drum turned to mud. And I couldn't use it. So I'm like, this stuff is mud. It's crap. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a cool name. If I figure this out, we're going to call it Mud. So everyone has like an actual, I could do this with every one of them.
That's amazing though, like you've named it after basically a failure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That one was like the craziest failure ever. In fact, in that one, there's a funny story where my mother would come and like bring like lunch every once in a while because I'd be in this huge factory by myself. And she would come in and there's machines running, so I'd never hear her. Right. And so I have to drive a forklift, and the forklift would have the forks, and then the 55-gallon drum would be sitting on it like this, like round like that. Actually, here you go. This is antibacterial. It'd be sitting like this on the forklift. You follow me? So and the forklift was one where you would walk behind it, and it would raise up like, not one where you would drive. So as you're doing it, I'm actually going to do it right now. If you were to spin this thing fast, right? So here's the forklift. If you were to spin it fast, it would fall off. And so, in your haste and you're so cool when I was in my 20s or whatever, and I'd have to move so fast because I was like super important or what, I'm by myself. I didn't do anything. And I'd move it. One of the ones in making that mud. This is why mud is like, I would make when I make the mud, I have to take the forklift, put it down, and then you would tilt it at an angle this way. You tilt it at an angle a little bit, and then have the spigot, and then turn the spigot to put a particular, it would be on a scale, a big scale. And then I would weigh it. You don't do it by, pouring it in, you do it by weight. And I pour it in there, and I read the scale, and then you shut it off and let it drip, and then you would get an exact amount. Why does that matter? One day I was spinning that forklift, and the silicone popped off that little thing just like I did when I spun this way. So when it hit the ground, there you go. This is a really good example. When it hit the ground, the nozzle cracked, broke open. So now this thing is going boom, boom, boom on the ground, on the flat ground. So I go, oh geez, oh my God! I run over to it. It's silicone. So I wipe out, and I hit my head on the bag, and I'm on the ground like this. I'm passed out when my mother comes in, and I'm laying in a pool of silicone that's still laying like this, and it's going, boom. Well, I mean, it's like out of a horror movie. My mom's like, ah, like freaking out. So there's your story with mud. There's the name of mud. I could give you 5,000 other stories like that. So yeah, I failed like miserably making stuff up for a long time. Yeah, there you go.
That's great. That's my question. Have you got any more, Bill? I mean, we can.
There's one that sort of stands out to me is, if you had one gadget that doesn't exist yet, what would you dream of having? As in, like boots that you can reach the top of a Jeep or super.
All right, so
wall spotting, or what would it be?
So I think that's a great question. I'm going to give you one of them. I have multiple ones, but I'm keeping those for me because they're all in various forms of intellectual property and trademarks and stuff. But the one that I would dream if like George Jetson or something that's like, I know no one's going to do that right now, is to somehow be able to create a vacuum style, I can't think of a better word, a vacuum style thing that I could put on the paint. Because if you think about it, when a car becomes dirty, when you wash a vehicle, if this is the surface of the vehicle and this is a piece of dirt on top of it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't have a little piece of dirt. When you're wiping it like this.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So there's the wiping action. And so my brain goes like, why can't I just go go pick it up? Why does it have to rub across the surface to wipe it off? And I'm like, man, I wish it was like a wet vacuum suction thingy that could just pick up the dirt and then you'd be good. Totally impractical, but this is the type of stuff that I think about when I'm like, wow, football season's awful and the Giants are horrific in New York, so I might as well think about something else right now. So that would be my dream thing. If somebody is watching and can make that, I'll help you any way I can.
I think that's just answered one of my quick fire questions. Was going to be Jets or Giants.
Yeah. Giants all the way.
Well, they won yesterday. They won on Sunday, so
they did. They beat the Redskins, which
yep.
is not saying much at this point. And then the Jets last night were up by 20-something points and ended up losing in the last.
They lost as well. So
just awful New York sports right now. The Knicks are even worse. Luckily, the Rangers are okay because I'm friends with a lot of those guys. They're great people, but. We need some inspiration. Yankees. Yeah.
See, other than American football, I don't watch baseball or ice hockey. I watch a bit of basketball.
You get American sports on TV there?
Yeah, we get. We've now got a dedicated NFL channel, and I've watched NFL since early '90s. So
what about baseball?
I can watch it. I don't. We don't get much baseball over here. I've got some friends over in Canada, and they now watch baseball. She moved from the UK to Canada, and she says it is more exciting than it appears to us guys. What we say.
I'm sure the major leagues will be thrilled to have this conversation. But baseball is known to be a little bit slower than. What about hockey? That's my favorite. That's what I do when I'm not.
Hockey, don't you?
My neighbour's into hockey. He does a bit of detailing. He's into ice hockey. We've got a team literally about 15 miles from here. But again, not something for me.
Like a pro team or like what kind of team? Like
I think they are pro team. They're called Sheffield Steelers. I believe they are pro in the whatever the major league is in the UK.
Yeah, we've got one local to me as well called Bracknell Bees. So their logo is similar. The bee is in the same colours. I think it's the Boston Bruins. Would that be?
Yeah, Boston Bruins. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's cool. All right. We're in good company here.
See, for me, it's just it's Formula One and NFL. That's pretty much all I watch these days. We were actually supposed to go to a Giants game back in September or October, but obviously the trip got cancelled. So
I can imagine. That's cool.
Hey ho.
So
what's up?
You doing your quick fire questions, Matt, or are we? we're pretty much there.
Let me have a look if I've got them to hand. 1 second.
I like the US flag. Look at that.
Yeah, man.
Africa.
Yeah, yeah. Fan of
You should
it.
do that for me. You're
We
so
go.
kind.
Bill, Bill will probably find this boring, but yeah, we got married in America 2 years ago now, over in Vegas, as cliche as that is. So, quick fire questions. So I'll do these quick fire questions then, and then I'll record the end of the video, and then yeah, we'll say goodbyes and all that jazz. So yeah, quick fire questions, straight off the top of your head. Jets or Giants?
Giants all the way.
Chevy or Ford?
Ford.
Muscle car or supercar?
Supercar.
Wax or sealant?
Wax.
This is more of a UK question, but fish and chips or bangers and mash?
That means absolutely nothing to me. I don't know what any of that means.
I got the same response from thingy over at Chemical Guys. I forgot his name now.
Oh,
Paul, that's it. Tea or coffee?
I'm a tea guy. I've actually never had a cup of coffee in my life.
Wow,
Literally.
that's amazing.
I've taken a sip of one and went, ooh. I've never had 1 cup of coffee.
And that basically wraps up the quickfire questions. So yeah, that's been our interview with Larry today then. So I'm going to link some videos in the description below to Larry and Larry's channel. So thanks very much for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed this video.
Was fun.
If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And we'll see you in the next one. Boom.
Look at you guys. Look at you guys, like
Nice.
pros,
Yeah.
like professionals.